Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Bonner, with respect to the call between.
Microphone, sir.
Thank you. Sergeant Bonner, with respect to the call between the Casio phone and the Neverland Valley Ranch phones occurring at 15:44, or 3:44 in the afternoon, was that a 4-minute call?
That was a 4-minute call.
Okay. And were there also calls between the Casio phone and the Neverland Ranch phone that occurred from between 35 and 45 seconds, in addition to that one?
I see 2 other calls.
Okay. And did they last for that period of time, between 35 and 45 seconds?
Correction, I'm sorry. There's 3 other calls. Yes, 35 seconds and 45 seconds.
If you could turn to the next exhibit in order, please, Exhibit 863.
Which is what, 2 to 12?
2 to 12. Is that 2 to 12, Detective?
That's correct.
Now, to your knowledge, was February 12 the day the Arvizos left Neverland Ranch the first time?
I believe it is about that time frame, yes.
And beginning at the upper left-hand corner, please, can you indoctrinate the jury as to the individual names you have up there by those phones?
I'm not sure, indoctrinate was the correct word, so I object.
All you do is quibble. Laughter. Is that an objection?
It's an objection.
All right. Sustained.
Could you explain, please?
Absolutely. The first phone we have is a telephone number that is registered to the law firm of Garrigus and Garrigus. We then have a telephone that is registered to Ann Kite, a telephone that is registered to Asha Pryor. And the telephone number that is registered to David Ventura, Janet Arvizo's parents. Again, we have telephones that are registered to Frank Casio and telephones that are registered to Marc Schaffel. We also have a telephone registered to Christopher Carter, Neverland Valley Ranch, and a couple of telephones associated with Evelyn Tavashchi's residence. One is the primary, another is a secondary line. We then have a telephone registered to Hamid Moslehi. Again, one registered to Christian Robinson under the business name Site LLC. A telephone associated with Vincent Amen. And a telephone associated with David Legrand.
Beginning right in the middle of the chart. Maybe it will show clearer if I blow that up. Well, that wasn't the right button. Is that a 38 between the phones of Mr. Casio and Mr. Schaffel?
That's correct.
Okay. When did the first of the 38 phone calls between the 2 phones occur?
The first call that I have is at 0024 hours, or shortly after midnight.
And how long did that call last?
1 minute in length.
Was there another call from the Casio phone to the Schaffel phone immediately thereafter?
Yes, there was.
And at what time?
0025 hours. 4 minutes.
How long did that last?
4 minutes.
Was there another one immediately after that?
We then jumped to 0037 hours for 1 minute.
Next?
0039 for 9 minutes.
Was that one outgoing or incoming to the Casio phone?
The last 2 were actually incoming calls.
Okay. What about the next call?
That's an incoming call at 0047 hours.
How long did that last?
For 7 minutes.
And the next call?
Again, an incoming call at 0054 hours for 2 minutes.
And that's going from the Schaffel phone to the Casio phone, correct?
Correct.
Is there another call from Schaffel phone to Casio phone?
Yeah, at 0056. I have a 2-minute incoming call from the Schaffel phone to the Casio phone.
Was there another call after that?
0058 hours. Again, an incoming call from the Schaffel phone to the Casio phone for 5 minutes.
Can you tell us when the next call between a Schaffel phone and a Casio phone occurred?
We then skipped to 10:52 a.m.
And which direction is that call going?
That is, again, an incoming call from a Schaffel phone to a Casio phone for 6 minutes.
Immediately after the incoming call from Schaffel phone to Casio phone, was there a call placed from the Vinny Amen phone to a Marc Schaffel phone? Take a look at 1101.
That's correct. I have a call at 11:01 hours for 2 minutes, and this is a direct call from Vincent Amen to Marc Schaffel.
You mean their phones, right?
Yes.
And at 11:02 p.m., was there a 1-minute call between Frank Casio's phone and Vince Amen's phone?
That's correct. For 1 minute. Again, this one would be Casio calling Amen.
And immediately after that, at 11:03, Was there a call from the Casio phone to the Chris Carter phone?
That's correct. 1 minute. It's an outgoing from Casio to Carter's phone.
Was there a phone call between the Casio phone and the Vince Amen phone at 11:06?
That's correct. It's an outgoing call from Frank Casio's phone to Vincent Amen's phone for 4 minutes in length.
And at the same time, was there an incoming call from the Marc Schaffel phone to Frank Casio's phone, again at 11:06?
That's correct. I have a 3-minute incoming call on Casio's phone from a phone registered to Marc Schaffel.
When was the next call between Vince Amen's phone, and Frank Casio's phone?
At 11:13 hours for 1 minute.
And that was from a Casio phone to an Amen phone?
Correct.
Okay. Was there a call placed between Marc Schaffel phone and the phone belonging to Anne Kite?
Yes, there was.
Do you also know her as Anne Gabriel?
Yes.
What time was that phone call and how long did it last, please?
The first call was at 11:40 a.m. for 11 minutes in length.
If you could find the record for Frank Casio, Marc Schaffel at 12:41.
Okay, I have that.
You've got it? Okay. The call between Frank Casio's phone and Marc Schaffel's phone at 12:41. How long did that last?
3 minutes.
Okay. And then at 13:12, 1:12 in the afternoon, was there a call placed between a phone belonging to Frank Casio and Chris Carter? Chris Carter's phone,
That's correct. A 1-minute call.
And immediately after that, was there a 7-minute call placed by the Frank Casio phone to Neverland Valley Ranch?
Correct. At 13:13 hours for 7 minutes.
After that phone call, was there a call placed from the Frank Casio phone to the firm Garrigus and Garrigus?
Correct. At 13:33 hours.
And after the phone call to Garrigus and Garrigus, was there a call between Frank Casio's phone and the home of defendant Jackson's personal assistant, Evelyn Tavashi?
Correct. At 13:43 hours.
How long was that call?
1 minute in length.
Was there another call placed exactly 1 minute after that?
Correct. At 13:44 for 3 minutes.
To the home of Evelyn Tavashi?
Correct.
After that 3-minute phone call, was there a call between the Frank Casio phone and the Marc Schaffel phone?
Which call were you interested in?
1,348 hours.
That's correct, for 2 minutes 11 seconds.
So the call at 13:44 to the home of Evelyn Tavashi from the Casio phone lasted 3 minutes, and then the next call from the Casio phone was to the Schaffel phone at 13:38, which lasted for 2 minutes, correct?
Correct.
With respect to the link between the Evelyn Tavashi home number and the phone registered to Mr. Mosley, did that occur at 2:11 in the afternoon, 14:11?
Correct. 2:11 for 1 minute.
Were there additional phone calls between the Frank Casio phone and the Garrigus and Garrigus phone? Specifically at 15:27 and 15:42 in the afternoon.
That's correct. The first at 15:27 was a 55-second incoming call. The second at 15:42 was a 5-minute 54-second call.
And in between those two calls to the Garrigus phones from the Casio phone, was there a call by the Casio phone to the Marc Schaffel phone at 15:40?
That's correct. I have a 1-minute call between the Casio phone and the Schaffel phone.
Was there a call placed from a Schaffel phone to the phone of David Legrand at 15:47 hours?
That's correct. 3 minutes in length.
And at 1,727 hours, is that the next phone call between the Casio phones and the Schaffel phones?
That's correct.
Did that last for 7 minutes?
Yes, that was 7 minutes in length.
And shortly after that phone call at 17:42, was there an incoming call from the second home line of Mr. Jackson's personal assistant to the phone registered to Frank Casio?
That is correct. For 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Are there additional phone calls between the Anne Kite phone and the Marc Schaffel phone in the evening, approximately 8:24?
6:24 p.m.
Okay. How long did that call last?
4 minutes in length.
Now, with respect to the 19 calls between the Casio phone and the Amen phone, and the 38 calls between the Casio phone and the Schaffel phone, did one group of phone calls occur before, after, or interspersed with the others?
They were interspersed.
Throughout the entire day?
Correct.
If you could turn your attention to the phone call between the Christian Robinson phone and the Mosley phone. If you could find that.
I have it.
Which direction was that phone call in?
Christian Robinson contacting Hamid Mosley's phone.
Okay. With respect to the phone calls in the upper right-hand corner between Janet's parents' phone and the phone registered to Asha Pryor, was there a call placed at approximately 8 o'clock at night, 2000 hours?
Correct. At 8:06 p.m. for a little over 1 minute.
1 minute, or 1 hour 33 minutes?
I'm sorry. 1 hour 33 minutes.
Okay. Do you know which direction that call went?
That call was from the Venturas's residence to Asha Pryor's phone.
Okay. If you could turn your attention to Exhibit 863 or 864, which one's next?
864.
What's that? 2 to 13.
That's 2 to 13, counsel. Without trying to indoctrinate, could you explain for the jury what's on that?
Again, we have telephone numbers that are associated with the various individuals. I believe all of these we've already spoke of. Hamid Mosley, Christian Robinson, Vincent Amen, Evelyn Tavashi, David Ventura, Janet's parents, Frank Cassio, Neverland Valley Ranch, Asha Pryor, Marc Schaffel, Ann Kite, the law offices of Garrigus, and Deborah Rowe Jackson.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
If we could go to the bottom right-hand corner specifically with respect to the phone calls between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone, how many were there? Because we can't quite see it.
4.
And in which direction?
All 4 calls were from Ann Kite to the law offices of Garrigus.
Is that 5 calls between the Ann Kite phone and the Schaffel phone?
That's correct.
With respect to the 4 calls between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone, what was the shortest call?
1 minute in length.
And there were 2 of those?
Correct.
Was there also a 6-minute call and a 2-minute call respectively?
Correct. At 10:05 and 3:48 p.m.
Okay, so at 10:05 a.m., there is a 1-minute call between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone, correct?
Correct.
Also at 10:05 a.m. is another 1-minute call between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone.
That's correct.
And also at 10:05 a.m., there's a 6-minute call between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone?
Correct.
Okay, and the last call between the Ann Kite phone and the Garrigus phone?
Was at 3:48 p.m. for 2 minutes.
Okay, and in between the time interval that you've just testified about, how many times did Ms. Kite's phone contact the Schaffel phones?
2 times.
Is one of those times at 10:11 in the morning?
Correct.
That was immediately after the 10:05 call to the Garrigus firm?
Correct.
How long did that 10:11 call to the Schaffel phone last?
11 minutes. Correction. 17 minutes.
Was there another call at 11:30 to the Schaffel phone?
That's correct. For 13 minutes.
Okay. Was there a call at 7:06 a.m. between the Ann Kite phone and the Marc Schaffel phone?
Correct. 1 minute in length.
And immediately after that call, was there a call between the Schaffel phone and Neverland Valley Ranch?
There was also a call at 7:06 from Schaffel to Neverland Valley Ranch for 17 minutes in length.
After the call to Neverland Valley Ranch, was there a call between the Marc Schaffel phone going from the Marc Schaffel phone to the Ann Kite phone?
Correct. At 0759 for 15 minutes.
Do your records show a phone call between the Frank Cassio phone and the David Ventura phone?
That's correct. I have outgoing calls from the Ventura to the Cassio phone.
And what time are those 2 calls?
2 calls. The first one at 11:35 p.m. for 4 minutes. Second one at 11:43 p.m. for 3 minutes.
Immediately preceding those 2 outgoing calls from the Ventura phones to the Cassio phones, were there a number of phone calls from the Ventura line to the Asha Pryor line?
I have 3 calls from the Ventura line to the Asha Pryor line. The first one at 5:47 p.m. for 9 minutes. The second one at 6:37 p.m. for 14 minutes. And the last one at 7:21 p.m. for 2 minutes.
If you could turn your attention to the call surrounding Frank Cassio's phone. With respect to the one call going between the Frank Cassio phone and the Evelyn Tavashi phone, what time did that occur, please?
That occurred at 5:37 p.m., 4 minutes in length.
With respect to the 12 calls between the Amen phone and the Casio phone, can you tell us generally what time of day those 12 calls occurred?
With the exception of one call, they occurred in the afternoon to evening time frame.
And was that first call the exception, at 054 in the morning?
Correct.
And how long did that last?
4 minutes.
And which direction was that going?
Frank Casio calling Vincent Amen.
Immediately prior to that was a 1-minute call between the Frank Casio phone and the Marc Schaffel phone at 052 in the morning?
That's correct. 1 minute in length.
Sergeant Bonner, if you could turn to Exhibit 865, please. Could you please explain the chart for February 14 of 2003, Exhibit 865?
Again, as with the other ones, we have a number of telephone numbers that are associated with individuals that have came out during this investigation. And we start with Vincent Amen, Hamid Moslehi, David Legrand, Frank Casio, Marc Schaffel, Christian Robinson, Ann Kite, the law offices of Garrigus and Garrigus, Evelyn Tavashi, David Ventura, and Asha Pryor.
If you could begin in the center with the Moslehi, Schaffel and Christian Robinson phones, can you tell us first which direction the call from, in between Moslehi and Schaffel occurred, between their phones?
The Marc Schaffel phone contacted the Hamid Moslehi phone for 1 minute in length at 8:42 p.m.
What about the contact between the Christian Robinson phone and the Marc Schaffel phone?
That was a call from the Christian Robinson phone to the Marc Schaffel phone, 1 minute in length, at 10:18 p.m.
And in between the call from the Schaffel phone to the Moslehi phone, and the Christian Robinson phone and the Schaffel phone, were there 2 calls placed to Frank Casio, one from the Ventura phone at 2105 hours?
I have a phone call from the David Ventura residence to a Frank Casio phone at 2105 hours, 2 minutes in length.
And at 2130 hours, 9:30 p.m., was there a call between the Vince Amen phone and a Frank Casio phone?
That's correct. 2130 hours, 1 minute in length.
It's not clear on the chart, from here anyway, but how many times was there contact between the Casio phone and the Ventura phone, Janet's parents?
There were 4 calls.
Can you tell us what time the first call was made on Valentine's Day 2003?
The first call I have is from the Ventura residence to a Casio phone at 4:45 p.m., 1 minute in length.
Okay. When was the next call, please?
The next call occurred at 7:29 p.m. This one was from the Casio phone to the Venturas's residence, 2 minutes in length.
And the next one, please?
Was at 7:45 p.m., again from the Casio phone to the Ventura residence, for 59 seconds.
Is the next one the call that occurs at 2105, 9:05 p.m., between the Ventura residence and the Casio phone?
That's correct. 2 minutes in length.
Okay. Are there also a number of calls between the Ventura phone and the Asha Pryor phone?
Yes, there are.
And are they going in one direction or both directions, generally?
They're going in both directions.
And what time is the first call between those 2 phones, please?
Your Honor, I'm going to object at this point. I've been waiting, but it does seem that this is cumulative, and the relevance in these details. I'll object on relevance.
Overruled.
The first call occurred at 2:20 p.m., 1 minute in length, from the Ventura residence to the Asha Pryor telephone.
Do you have an entry there marked 12:50 in the morning?
I'm sorry, that's correct. That's the first one, 12:50, 1 minute 30 seconds in length, from Asha Pryor's phone to the Ventura residence.
1 minute 30 seconds?
I'm sorry, 1 hour 30 minutes. They're numbers.
You bill like phone companies, in reverse. And when was the last call between the Ventura phones and the Asha Pryor phones for the 14th?
The last call I have is at 11:40 p.m. for 2 minutes in length from the Ventura phone to the Asha Pryor phone.
Okay. And in total, there was contact between the Legrand phone and the Kite phone just 1 time?
Correct.
And 2 times between the Kite phone and the Garrigus and Garrigus phones that day?
Correct.
If you could please continue to Exhibit 866, the chart for February 15th. And please explain this exhibit for the jury, please.
It's a little off-center.
Okay.
Okay. Again, we have a number of individuals who we have identified as being associated with this investigation, and these are telephones that are associated with those individuals: Hamid Moslehi, Rudy Provencio, Vincent Amen, Marc Schaffel, Frank Cassio, Neverland Valley Ranch, Ann Kite, law offices of Garrigus and Garrigus, Evelyn Tavashi, Jay Jackson, a second line into Evelyn Tavashi's residence, David Ventura and Asha Pryor.
Was the first call between the Casio phone and the J. Jackson phone at 2:11 in the morning? Look on page 2, 4 up from the bottom.
The David Ventura phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the first of 5 calls to the David Ventura phone at 2:11 in the morning?
Correct.
And can you tell us when the first call was between the Casio phone and the Jackson phone that morning, that day?
The first call I show is at 10:17 a.m. from the J. Jackson phone to the Casio phone.
Of the 14 calls between the J. Jackson phone and the Frank Cassio phone, how many of them lasted more than 1 minute?
11 of them.
Was there a call between the Frank Cassio phone and the Garrigus and Garrigus phone that day as well?
Yes, there was.
And what time was that?
That occurred at 2:45 p.m., for 44 seconds, from Casio to Garrigus phones.
And prior to that phone contact between the Casio phone and the Garrigus and Garrigus phone, was there a 15-minute phone call beginning at 14:24 hours between the Casio phone and the J. Jackson phone?
That's correct.
And immediately after the phone call between the Casio phone to the Garrigus and Garrigus phone, were there 2 more calls placed between the Casio phone and the Jackson phone?
Correct. At 15:01 and 15:02, first one for 1 minute and the second one for 3 minutes.
And at the end of the 3-minute call at 15:02 between the Casio phone and the Jackson phone, was there a call between Frank Cassio's phone and Marc Schaffel's phone?
That's correct. At 15:05 hours for 3 minutes.
Of the 3 calls between the Casio phone and the Tavashi home phone, can you tell us what time the first call was?
The first call occurred at 5:45 p.m., 6 minutes in length.
And which direction was that call going?
That was from Casio to the Tavashi phone.
At that same time, at 5:45 p.m., was there a call from the Vince Amen phone to the same Frank Cassio phone that dialed the Evie Tavashi home phone?
That's correct. It was 7 minutes in length from Amen to Casio.
And at the same time, the Cassio phone called the Tavashi home?
Correct.
And that was for 6 minutes?
Correct.
Is that what's known as a 3-way call, Sergeant?
It is potentially a 3-way call.
Immediately after that call between the Amen, Cassio, Tavashi phones, was there a call placed from the Cassio phone to the Schaffel phone?
That's correct. I have a 2-minute call at 17:55 hours from the Casio phone to a Schaffel phone.
Okay. And then were there 2 calls after that between the Casio phone and one of the Evelyn Tavashi home phone numbers and the Casio phone and the other Tavashi home number, the second line, at 18:25 and 18:43 hours?
That's correct. I have the first call at 18:25 hours for 3 minutes and 3 minutes and 36 seconds, and that is from the Casio phone to the Tavashi, Evelyn, home phone. And the second call is at 1843 hours, 1 minute 47 seconds in length, and that goes from the Casio to the Evelyn Tavashi second home line.
At 1851 hours, was there a phone call between the Casio phone and the J. Jackson phone?
That's correct. 2 minutes in length.
This would be the call immediately after the call from Cassio's line to the second home line at Evie Tavashi's?
A few minutes later, correct.
Okay. And that was a 2-minute call?
Correct.
At the end of that phone call at 1853, was there another call placed from the Casio line to the same J. Jackson line?
That's correct. We have a call at 1853, for 17 minutes in length.
And at the end of that call, at 1910 hours, was there another call placed from the Frank Cassio phone to the J. Jackson phone?
Correct. 3 minutes 19 seconds in length.
And immediately after that call, were there 2 calls placed from the Frank Cassio phone to the Frank Schaffel phone?
Okay, yes, we have one at 7:14 p.m., 1 minute in length. And another one at 7:16 p.m., 4 minutes in length.
After the phone call at 7:16 p.m. between the Cassio phone and the Schaffel phone, did the phone belonging to J. Jackson connect with a phone belonging to Frank Cassio, in that direction?
That's correct. At 8:43 p.m. for 4 minutes 15 seconds.
Was there another call between the same two phones and in the same direction at 8:48 p.m. that lasted for 2 minutes?
Correct.
And immediately after that phone call at 8:48, was there a call between the Frank Cascio phone and the Evie Tavashi home phone?
That's correct, at 8:56 p.m., 2 minutes 28 seconds in length.
Was there a call approximately 10 minutes later from the Casio phone to the Amen phone at 2108?
Correct, 6 minutes in length.
At the end of that 6-minute call, was there a call between the Casio phone and the Neverland Valley Ranch phone?
That's correct, 2,126 hours. That's an incoming call from Neverland Valley to the Casio phone, 3 minutes 41 seconds in length.
If you could turn to Exhibit 867, please. And is that the chart for Sunday, February 16, 2003?
That's correct.
If you could explain to the jury what's depicted in this exhibit, please.
Once more, we have a number of telephones that are associated with individuals that have came up during this investigation. Namely, starting on the left, Chris Tucker, Vincent Amen, Rudy Provencio, Evelyn Tavashi, Asha Pryor, Neverland Valley Ranch, Marc Schaffel, Chris Carter, David Ventura, Jay Jackson, Frank Cascio, another call from Marc Schaffel, and Christian Robinson as Site LLC.
With respect to the calls between the Casio phone and the Jay Jackson phone, the chart shows a 2/1. Were there 21 calls between the two, or what?
No, there was not. That should indicate that there were 2 calls from one direction and 1 call from the other direction.
Which direction were the 2 calls from?
From Jay Jackson to Frank Cascio. And 1 call from Frank Cascio to Jay Jackson.
Okay, can you tell us the time of the first call between Jay Jackson and the Frank Cascio phone?
The first call occurred at 4:32 p.m., 4 minutes in length, from Jay Jackson to Frank Cascio telephones.
And when was the last call between the 2 phones?
At 11:26 p.m., 2 minutes 30 seconds in length, from the Frank Cascio phone to Jay Jackson phone.
In between the first and last calls between the Jay Jackson phone and the Casio phone, was there contact between the Casio phone and the Neverland Valley Ranch phone?
The only call I'm showing was at 0100 hours.
So there was not?
Correct.
When was the first call between the Vince Amen phone and the Frank Casio phone?
0844 hours, or 8:44 a.m.
If you could turn to Exhibit 871, I believe. Is that the chart for February 20th?
That's correct.
Is it Detective Zelis who will have all the fun with the charts on the 17th, 18th and 19th?
That's correct.
I placed Exhibit 871, or a reasonable likeness, up on the board. Do you know whether this date, February 20th, coincided with the filming of a rebuttal video?
That is my understanding, correct.
Okay, and explain to the jury, please, what's depicted in this exhibit.
Again, we have icons which are associated with telephones registered to individuals that have came up during this investigation. Starting at the top left, we have Frank Cascio, Marc Schaffel, David Ventura, Jay Jackson, Evelyn Tavashi's second line, Evelyn Tavashi's home line, Neverland Valley Ranch, Vincent Amen, the Turnberry Isle Resort, Christopher Carter and Rudy Provencio.
If you could begin, please, with the phone calls between the Vincent Amen line and the Jay Jackson line. Tell us what time the first call was placed.
The first call occurred at 10:02 a.m., 2 minutes in length, from Amen to Jackson.
Would you look at the timestamp, 9:51 on your chart, please?
I'm sorry, they're out of order. 9:51 would be the first call.
And the second call would be at 10:02 a.m.?
Correct.
How many times did the Vince Amen phone contact the Marc Schaffel phone that day?
I have 5 calls.
And was the first call placed at nearly 1 o'clock in the morning or just before 1 o'clock in the morning?
5 minutes prior, at 0055 hours.
And how many times was there contact between the Vince Amen phone and the Frank Cascio phone that day? You could refer to the chart itself if it helps you.
I'm just double checking. I have 31 calls.
Was the first call a call that was placed between Frank Caccio's phone and Vince Amen's phone at 1:25 in the morning?
That's correct.
And how many times was there contact between the Cascio phone and the Schaffel phone on the day of the 20th?
I have 11 calls. And I have two more, so a total of 13.
Of the two calls between the Casio phone and the Evi Tavashi home phone, can you tell us whether they were going in one direction or both ways?
It appears they were going just from Casio to Evelyn Tavashi.
From the Casio phone to the Tavashi phone?
Correct.
And what time is the first call from the Casio phone to the Tavashi phone?
At 1:26 p.m., 3 minutes in length.
If you would please turn to the next exhibit that you have, which is number 875. Actually, before we leave 871, the chart shows 7 calls between Neverland Valley Ranch and Frank Casio's number. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what time did those calls begin and in which direction were they going, please?
I believe each of these calls was an incoming call. I'm sorry, they're going both directions. And they start at a little after 2 p.m. and end a little after 9 p.m.
Okay, now you can turn to exhibit 875, please.
Is that March 5th?
It's March 2nd.
March 5th.
March 5th is what mine says.
Is there an exhibit tag on March 2nd?
Yeah, it's not mine, though.
Okay, I'm sorry. 875 is March 5th. And who's doing March 2nd, 3rd and 4th?
Chief Investigator Dave Saunders.
I'm sorry. Is this a chart for Wednesday, March 5th?
It is.
Okay. Explain to the jury what's on this exhibit, please.
Okay, again, we have a number of icons that are associated with telephones that are registered to individuals that have came up during this investigation. Starting on the left, we have Frank Casio, Neverland Valley Ranch, Evelyn Tavashi, MJJ Productions, another number, MJJ Productions, Miko Brando, Evelyn Tavashi Home, Rudy Provencio, Paul Hugo and David Legrand.
Let's talk about the Frank Casio phone and the Neverland Valley Ranch phone. Can you tell us when they first begin and which direction they went?
They first started at shortly before 2 a.m. in the morning, which was an incoming call from Neverland to Frank Casio, and it ended at 6:15 p.m., again with an incoming call from Neverland to Frank Casio. In between that we had 2 calls from Casio to Neverland.
Okay. Can you tell us what time the call between the Paul Hugo phone and the Rudy Provencio phone was?
Okay, that was at 2,109 hours for 1 minute in length.
And also between the Paul Hugo phone and the David Legrand phone, please?
That was 2,134 hours, or 9:34 p.m., for 2 minutes in length.
Okay. If you could move to exhibit number 876, please. And if you could explain to the jury what's on this exhibit.
Okay, as with the other exhibits, we have a number of telephones associated with individuals and/or locations that have came up during this investigation. I'll start on the left. We have Paul Hugo, Marc Schaffel and Vincent Amen. We have Frank Casio, Neverland Valley Ranch. This was a room at the Beverly Hilton that was registered under Christopher Carter. We have the MJJ Productions, Miko Brando phone, Evelyn Tavashi, MJJ Productions phone, Evelyn Tavashi second homeline, and the Evelyn Tavashi homeline.
Could you turn to the exhibit book on your right, please, and find exhibit number 255? Are those the Beverly Hilton records?
These are.
Okay. Exhibit 255, is that the room bill for Chris Carter, room 429, from the Beverly Hilton?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do the phone charges on the Beverly Hilton records include minutes?
I don't immediately recognize anything as being specific to length of call.
And indeed, there are no minutes on your chart for the Beverly Hilton calls, correct?
Correct.
Do you show 3 calls going from the Beverly Hilton out of the Chris Carter room on the 6th to Ms. Evelyn Tavashi's home or second home numbers?
That's correct.
And what time is the first call?
I have 2 calls that occur at 11:36 hours. One to the homeline, the second one to the second homeline.
Okay. Can you remove the page you're looking at in exhibit 255?
Which one?
March 5th. Showing you page 1 of exhibit 255. Just generally the timestamp in the middle column on the left. For example, 11:03, 11:36. That's the time that corresponds to the call in your charts, correct?
That's correct.
And there's nothing on the right that indicates the length of the time. Isn't that right?
I don't recognize anything as being a length.
Can you tell us at approximately what time the call between the Hugo phone and the Schaffel phone was, please?
15, or 3:59 p.m.
How long did that call last?
2 minutes in length.
And can you tell us what time the calls between the Amen phone and the Schaffel phone were?
At 12:21 p.m. and 12:17 p.m., 4 minutes and 3 minutes respectively.
And your records show the only place of relevance to your investigation that the Casio phone called was the Neverland Valley Ranch line?
That's correct.
If you could move on to Exhibit 877, please. And is 877 the chart for Friday, the 7th of March, 2003?
That's correct.
Again, the only calls from Frank Casio that you registered were to Neverland Valley Ranch?
That's correct.
Can you tell us what time the first call was and what time the last one was?
The first call occurred 5 minutes after midnight, at 00:05 hours, and the last call occurred at 12:03 p.m.
Sergeant Bonner, can you tell us about the middle icon, the Beverly Hilton Kenneth Morgan room?
As with the Chris Carter room on the previous day, this was a room at the Beverly Hilton which was registered under the name Kenneth Morgan.
And in which exhibit did you find the Kenneth Morgan phone records from the Beverly Hilton?
It was under Exhibit 256.
Would you find those in the exhibit book, please?
Done.
Done. When was the first call made from that room and to what number?
The first call occurred on 3/7/2003, at 9:21 p.m. to the Evelyn Tavashi home line.
How many calls were placed to the Evelyn Tavashi home line from the Kenneth Morgan room?
On the 7th?
Yes, please.
I have a total of 4 calls.
And when was the last phone call between the Kenneth Morgan room and the Evie Tavashi home?
At 9:51 p.m.
Is there a room charge visible on Exhibit 256?
There is, in the amount of $850.
Per night?
Correct.
I believe the next exhibit is 878.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike the last answer for the purpose of objecting to the question. I didn't know where he was going, but it's not going anywhere and violates the court's ruling, the room charge.
Sustained.
Stricken?
Stricken.
Stricken?
Yes.
Exhibit 878, is that March 8th? I haven't put it up yet.
That's correct.
Okay. What do you have listed in Exhibit 878?
Again, we have icons representing telephones associated with individuals and/or locations that have came up during this investigation, namely, starting on the left, Neverland Valley Ranch, Evelyn Tavashi, MJJ Productions, Miko Brando, Beverly Hilton, again the Kenneth Morgan Room, Evelyn Tavashi, MJJ Productions, and Evelyn Tavashi, home.
Are the phone calls between the Evie Tavashi home and the Kenneth Morgan room also contained in Exhibit 256?
Yes, they are.
And of the 12 calls you have listed, can you tell us which direction they were going?
All of those are outgoing calls.
And over what?
From the Kenneth Morgan room to the Evelyn Tavashi room, our line.
And over what period of time did those 12 phone calls span?
The first call I have occurs at 8:35 a.m. in the morning and the last call occurs at 6:57 p.m. in the evening.
Were there calls from the Kenneth Morgan room to 2 other phones registered to Evie Tavashi through MJJ Productions?
There were.
And on the right-hand side of that exhibit appears to be the number 3 in the middle of a link. Can you tell us about that phone number, please, between the Kenneth Morgan room and the Evelyn Tavashi MJJ production phone?
Okay, that is the phone number is 818-402-7087. It comes back registered to Evelyn Tavashi, MJJ Productions.
And in the top center of the page, there's another telephone with the same icon. Is that a different number with the 4 connections?
Actually, I'm sorry, the 4 is the 7087 number. The 4 calls were to that 818-402-7087. And the 3 calls were to 310-717-8984.
The next exhibit in order, please, Exhibit 879. Is this the exhibit for Sunday, March the 9th?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell us what time the phone call between the Casio phone and the Evie Tavashi second home line was?
It occurred at 11:34 p.m., and that was an incoming call from Tavashi to the Casio line.
Can you tell us about the phone calls between the Casio phone and the Schaffel phone on that day?
I have 2 telephone calls from the Casio phone to, one from the Casio phone to the Schaffel phone. Another one that was an incoming from Schaffel to Casio. First one was 1 minute prior to 7 p.m., and the second one was at 9:31 p.m.
Can you tell us about the 12 phone calls between the Evi Tavashi, MJJ production phone and the Schaffel phone, please? Do you know when the first one occurred?
No, there appears to be an error.
That should say, Neverland Valley Ranch.
It should.
Okay. Can you tell us what time the first call to Neverland Valley Ranch occurred?
I'm just going to object for the moment. That there is a reference to, that should be Neverland Valley Ranch, and it's not clear what that reference is to.
Sustained.
The 12 phone calls I was referring to should have been referred to as the Neverland Valley Ranch, correct?
That's correct.
So the link between the Tavashi, MJJ Productions phone and the Marc Schaffel phone is incorrect. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. Were there any calls between the Schaffel phone and the Tavashi phone for that day?
No.
Okay. So the 12 calls between the Tavashi, MJJ production phone and the Neverland Valley Ranch phone began at what time that day?
8:48 a.m.
And what time did they cease?
At 8:19 p.m.
Is the chart, excuse me, is the spreadsheet behind the chart accurate, to your recollection?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is that how you realized the actual chart that's up on the screen is incorrect with respect to the link between the Evi Tavashi phone and the Marc Schaffel phone?
That's correct.
The call between the Amen phone and the Schaffel phone. What time did that occur, please?
At 17:57 hours.
And that was a 1-minute call?
1 minute duration.
Your Honor, I'll move to strike this chart, Exhibit 879. It is 879, correct?
Correct.
Pending correction.
Well, I object to that. It's been referred to in front of the jury, so it should remain. And they can present a corrected chart if they want.
We can do that.
I think that's the way to do it.
Did that take you through your daily obligation?
It did.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
All right, we'll take our break and then you can do your cross.